Chosen one, what you're about to hear is no ordinary message. It is a divine revelation meant specifically for you. If you are watching this right now, know that it is not by chance. God Himself has led you here because He has something extraordinary to reveal to you. Have you ever felt like life has been an endless struggle, an uphill battle where no matter how hard you push, breakthroughs seem just out of reach? Well, today marks the end of that struggle. From this moment forward, it is no longer your burden to bear. God is stepping in. Yes, you heard that right. Your financial worries, your burdens, your moments of lack, God is taking full responsibility for them. He is shifting your season, and those who once doubted or judged you will soon witness a transformation that only He could orchestrate. Philippians 4:19 declares, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." This promise was not made in vain. It was spoken with you in mind. The time for its fulfillment has arrived, and nothing can stand in the way of what God has prepared for you. To all of you who have supported this mission through Super Thanks, I want to extend my deepest gratitude. Your faith and generosity are part of this movement, spreading God's word and unlocking His blessings for countless others. Your support is not just a donation, it is a seed planted in faith, and I pray that it returns to you in ways beyond your imagination. Thank you for standing with us in this divine purpose. Now, before we go deeper into this life-changing truth, I invite you to take a step of faith. Leave a comment with the number 999 below. This number is not random. It carries the spiritual significance of completion and divine alignment. By doing this, you are making a declaration. You are ready to receive the abundance that God has already set in motion for you. Can you feel it? That stirring within you is not just emotion, it is confirmation. God is speaking to you at this very moment, affirming that your breakthrough is here. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear will shift your mindset, elevate your faith, and prepare you for the doors of abundance that are about to open. So, get ready, chosen one. The chains of struggle are breaking, and the gates of prosperity are opening wide. This is not just a hopeful wish. This is a divine decree from the Almighty Himself. Are you ready to step into your new season? The journey begins now. God's chosen one. From now on, it is God's duty. Richness forever. Chosen one. There comes a pivotal moment in every journey where the struggle ceases and the blessings begin to pour in. This is not a coincidence. It is part of God's divine plan for your life. Have you ever wondered why you've endured so much? It's because God was preparing you for this very moment. For those chosen by Him, the weight of wealth and provision is no longer a burden you must carry alone. It is now God's duty. The Creator of the universe, who carefully crafted every step of your journey, has made an eternal promise of an unending flow of abundance specifically for you. This is not a fleeting hope or a lofty dream, but a divine guarantee rooted in His faithfulness. Imagine a river flowing endlessly, always replenishing itself, no matter how much is drawn from it. Can you feel the peace of knowing that your needs will always be met? This is the nature of God's provision for you. As His chosen one, you are destined to live in wealth not because of your own efforts, but because He has vowed to provide for you forever. Psalm 23:1 reminds us, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." How does it feel to know that God Himself has made this covenant with you, promising to meet every need? Think for a moment about what it would be like to release the constant struggle and trust fully in God's faithfulness. Could you allow yourself to believe that the burden is no longer yours to bear? This is not just a comforting idea, but a reality waiting for you to embrace. His responsibility to provide for you is a reflection of his infinite love and his unwavering commitment to his promises. You might be asking yourself, is it really possible to live a life free from anxiety, free from the endless grind? God's word reassures us in Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Do you feel the weight of your worries lifting as you realize that your future is already secure in His hands? From the moment you accepted your divine calling, a powerful shift occurred. You moved from a life of striving to a life of supernatural provision. Remember the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 17:6-16. Have you ever wondered how Elijah must have felt when God sent ravens to bring him food during the drought? Imagine the peace of knowing that even when the brook dried up, God's provision didn't end. Instead, He sent Elijah to a widow whose flour and oil miraculously never ran out. Chosen one, the days of exhaustion, fear, and lack are behind you. Do you feel the shift happening within you? You are no longer walking in uncertainty, but in the certainty of God's provision. Your riches are more than material blessings. They are a reflection of His infinite love for you. When you embrace this truth, you will experience a profound peace that transforms every part of your life. What would it feel like to finally step into that peace and abundance? Can you see yourself living in the fullness of His grace? Now is the time to ask yourself, am I truly ready to trust God's plan and let go of fear? If your answer is yes, take this moment to declare it. Write it down, say it aloud, and feel the truth of it resonate in your heart. The struggle is over, and the blessings have already begun. Your season of abundance has arrived, and nothing can stop the good things God has prepared for you. Trust Him completely, chosen one, because your life is about to overflow with His grace and goodness. Are you ready to receive it? The journey is just beginning. Chosen one, from this moment forward, you are stepping into the abundance of God's promises. What once felt like an endless uphill climb has now become an effortless path, carried by the grace and favor of the Almighty. Have you ever considered that your struggles were simply preparing you for this season of divine provision? God has been working behind the scenes, ensuring that you are ready to receive this overflow that will touch every part of your life. Your relationships, your health, your purpose. True wealth, as God defines it, is so much more than material riches. It is the fullness of life, the joy, peace, and contentment that only He can provide. Take a moment to reflect on the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. For 40 years they wandered, relying entirely on God for their provision. In Exodus 16:4, God declared, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you." This wasn't just sustenance, it was a daily reminder that He would always provide for His people. When you embrace God's promises, you step into this same supernatural provision. It is not dependent on your strength or efforts, but on His boundless grace and faithfulness. You were chosen for greatness, not because of anything you've done, but because of God's perfect will. Think of David, a simple shepherd boy, chosen to become king. In 1 Samuel 16:7, God reminds us, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Like David, you were chosen not for your qualifications, but for your heart and your willingness to trust in God. Your struggles, no matter how overwhelming they've seemed, are no longer your portion. What awaits you now is a divine abundance that surpasses anything you could imagine. Close your eyes and picture the weight of your past struggles falling away. Can you feel the peace that comes with knowing you no longer have to fight these battles alone? God calls you to walk in confidence, not the kind that comes from self-reliance, but the kind that comes from knowing you are supported by His mighty power. Imagine the faith of Peter as he stepped out of the boat and walked on water toward Jesus. In Matthew 14:29, Jesus simply said, "Come," and Peter trusted enough to take that first step. Though the waves surrounded him, he walked on the impossible because he trusted in the one who called him. What would your life look like if you had that same unwavering trust in God's provision? This confidence transforms your mindset and your heart. Like a child who trusts their parents to provide without question, you are invited to live with the assurance that God will meet your every need. In Luke 12:24, Jesus reminds us, "Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap, they have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds." Let this truth sink in. If God cares for the birds of the air, how much more does He care for you, His chosen one? The peace that comes from trusting in God's provision will make every step you take lighter. You will no longer feel the weight of anxiety or doubt because you know God's timing and methods are perfect. Think of the widow in 2 Kings 4:1-7, whose small jar of oil never ran out. When she trusted the prophet Elisha's instructions, God multiplied what she had into abundance. In the same way, your obedience and trust in God create room for His miracles to unfold in your life. No longer will you toil endlessly to make ends meet. From now on, wealth is God's responsibility. Your role is to align with His will, trust in His timing, and step forward in faith. This is not a passive surrender, but an active partnership with the Almighty. Believe, as Abraham did, that God will provide. Genesis 22:8. When you release the burden of trying to control your future, you create space for God to work in ways that exceed your imagination. Chosen one, ask yourself, are you ready to let go of fear and embrace the abundance that has been set aside for you? What would it feel like to live each day knowing that your needs are met and your future is secure in God's hands? This is your moment to step into the overflow, to trust that the Creator of the universe has already prepared every blessing you will ever need. Walk forward with faith, because your life is about to be transformed beyond anything you have dreamed. This is your season. The abundance is here. Claim it now. Chosen one, have you ever marveled at the vastness of the universe, the stars scattered across the sky, or the beauty of the earth's intricate design? God, the creator of all things, is the one who spoke those stars into existence and shaped the heavens with His words. If He is capable of such magnificent feats, can there be any doubt that He can provide for your every need? Nothing is too great or too small for God to handle, including the wealth, resources, and opportunities you need to fulfill your divine purpose. Consider the words of Isaiah 40:26. Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls forth each of them by name. Because of His great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. This same God, who knows every star by name, knows every detail of your life and every need in your heart. When you step into this truth, you begin to realize that God has already aligned everything to meet your needs at precisely the right moment. Understanding that wealth is God's responsibility brings you a new kind of freedom. Imagine how your life would change if you no longer carried the pressure of trying to figure everything out on your own. Instead of worrying about how you'll make it all happen, you can shift your focus to trusting God and doing the work He has called you to do. This is not about passivity, it's about active faith, living in confidence that as you walk in obedience, God will open doors that no one can shut. The Bible tells us in Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. When God takes on the responsibility of your prosperity, you can expect more than just enough. You can expect abundance, overflowing blessings that enable you not only to meet your own needs, but to make an impact in the lives of others. It's time to let go of any lingering doubts you may have about your financial future. Do you believe God's promises are true for you? The scriptures remind us in Numbers 23:19, God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? If God has declared abundance over your life, you can trust that he will fulfill that promise. There is no room for doubt, because his word is eternal and unchanging. Think back to the story of Sarah and Abraham. Sarah doubted God's promise that she would have a child in her old age, but God's faithfulness never wavered. In Genesis 18:14, the Lord said, "Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you, and Sarah shall have a son." God fulfilled his promise to Sarah, proving that even what seems impossible to us is fully within his power. If he could bless Sarah with the fulfillment of her dreams, why would he not do the same for you, his chosen one? Your dreams, no matter how big they seem, are not too big for God. What may feel unreachable in the natural realm has already been accomplished in the spiritual. Matthew 19:26 reminds us, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." The wealth and abundance you need are already prepared, waiting for you to step into them through faith. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to fully trust that God's plan includes an abundance that exceeds your greatest hopes? Imagine the peace of knowing that your financial future is secure because it rests in his hands, not yours. It's time to remove every doubt and embrace the truth that God's plan for you is not just sufficient, but extraordinary. This is your season to step boldly into the life of abundance that God has prepared for you. Do not let fear or uncertainty hold you back. Trust in the Creator who formed the stars and calls them by name, for he knows you and loves you even more. Your life is not a series of random events, but a masterpiece being orchestrated by the one who has promised to provide for your every need. Chosen one, the wealth and provision that await you are beyond anything you can imagine. Will you trust him to lead you into the fullness of his promises? Many people struggle with the idea of financial success, believing it is reserved for a select few or that they are unworthy of great wealth. But you, chosen one, are different. You were called to greatness, set apart by God for a purpose far beyond your imagination. The wealth that awaits you is not just for your personal comfort. It is a divine provision to equip you to fulfill your purpose on earth. Whether that purpose involves helping others, supporting ministries, or building something that transforms the world, God will ensure you have every resource you need to accomplish it. Do you remember the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14-30? Jesus spoke of a master who entrusted his servants with varying amounts of wealth. The servants who used their talents wisely were rewarded with even more, while the one who buried his out of fear lost everything. This story is not just about money, it's about trust, faith, and purpose. You have been given your unique gifts and opportunities for a reason. As you align with God's promises and banish doubt, you are opening the door for miracles and abundance to flow into your life. You are not meant to live in scarcity or struggle. God's plan for you includes financial abundance because he knows the good you will do with it. Do you believe that wealth is only for others, or can you accept that it's also meant for you? Deuteronomy 8:18 reminds us, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth." The abundance that is coming your way is not about selfish gain. It is about equipping you to carry out the mission God has placed on your heart. Let go of doubt, chosen one, and embrace the certainty that God is preparing to bless you beyond your greatest expectations. Imagine the peace and joy that comes with knowing your financial future is secure because God Himself is your provider. When you truly accept this truth, fear and worry lose their hold on you. You begin to live with boldness, acting in faith and confidence, knowing that God's provision is always just a step away. This is not blind faith. It is a faith rooted in God's unchanging promises and your personal experience. Look back at your own life. Can you think of times when God provided for you in ways you couldn't have anticipated? Perhaps it was a job you didn't expect, a financial breakthrough when you were at your lowest, or a moment of help that seemed to arrive just in time. These were not coincidences, but divine provisions. Philippians 4:19 says, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." Every answered prayer and miracle in your life is proof that God's faithfulness will continue. As you meditate on this truth, it will become the foundation upon which you can build your life. When you truly know that God will provide, you can move forward with confidence, free from the fear of the unknown. The Creator of the universe, the one who knows every hair on your head, has already planned out your life. He has paved the way for you to prosper. Trust in this plan, and you will discover a peace that surpasses all understanding. As you begin to walk in your divine abundance, there will be those who question or even mock your success. Remember the story of Joseph in Genesis 37:50. His brothers mocked and betrayed him out of jealousy, but Joseph remained faithful to God. In the end, he rose to a position of great power and used his wealth and influence to save countless lives during a famine. Like Joseph, you will face opposition, but it is not your concern. What matters is staying focused on the purpose God has given you and trusting that He will guide you every step of the way. This is your time, chosen one. You are stepping into a season where miracles, wealth, and opportunities will align perfectly for your good. The abundance coming your way is not just about material gain. It is about fulfilling your God-given purpose and making a lasting impact. Will you choose to trust in God's plan, even when the path seems uncertain? Will you believe that the Creator of the universe has set aside greatness for you? Your faith is the key to unlocking the blessings that are already on their way. Step forward boldly, knowing that God's provision will never fail. The journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. What God has promised you is not subject to the opinions, judgments, or doubts of others. Your abundance is not dependent on human approval, but is a direct reflection of God's unwavering faithfulness. When God blesses you, no one can curse you, and no earthly force can undo what He has set in motion. Have you ever felt discouraged when others mocked your dreams or belittled your success? Remember this: they do not hold your future. God does. If He has spoken prosperity over your life, no opinion, no criticism, and no doubt can alter His divine plan. Think of Balaam in Numbers 23:8, who was hired to curse Israel but declared, "How can I curse those whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce those whom the Lord has not denounced?" Just as God protected Israel, He protects the promises He has made to you. Your wealth and success are not just blessings. They are signs of His favor and evidence of His ability to provide. In moments when mockery or doubt arise, rise above. Keep your eyes fixed on God's promises, not the opinions of others. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 54:17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn." Let this truth encourage you. As you walk in obedience, the blessings you receive will speak for themselves. They will be a declaration of God's goodness and power, silencing opposition and leaving no room for doubt. God's plan for you is not a temporary solution or a fleeting moment of success. It is an eternal richness, a divine prosperity that will impact generations to come. This is not something you have to chase relentlessly. As you align yourself with God's will, His provision will come to you. It is not about striving or struggling, it is about trusting and obeying. Psalm 23:5 beautifully illustrates this truth. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Your cup of blessings will overflow as you rest in His provision. The world tells us that success comes from tireless, hard work and endless striving. While diligence is valuable, God's plan for you is different. It's about resting in His provision and trusting Him to bring the increase. Think about Peter in Luke 5:4-7. After a long, unfruitful night of fishing, Jesus told him to let down his nets again. Peter obeyed, and his nets were filled to overflowing. This is the kind of divine provision waiting for you when you trust in God's timing and methods. This provision is the ultimate freedom. You no longer have to live in fear of scarcity or wonder where the next blessing will come from. Your life will become a reflection of God's eternal plan for richness, a wealth that surpasses what the world can offer. This is not a fleeting dream. This is God's best for you. Are you ready to embrace it fully? Wealth, in God's eyes, is not just for personal enjoyment. It is a divine tool to fulfill your greater purpose. As you step into the abundance He has promised, remember that this wealth comes with responsibility. But this responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. You are now positioned to make a profound difference, to impact lives, and to leave a legacy that extends far beyond yourself. Think of Joseph, who was raised from the depths of a prison to the heights of power in Egypt. In Genesis 50:20, he said to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph's wealth and influence were not for his glory, but for the preservation of others. Similarly, the blessings God has entrusted to you are meant to build His kingdom and transform lives. Wealth, when used rightly, becomes a powerful force for good. It can heal families, transform communities, and spread love in ways that nothing else can. This is the true purpose of divine prosperity. It is not about the possessions you can acquire, but the lives you can touch. How will you use your blessings to create a ripple effect of goodness in the world? As you embrace this responsibility, your wealth will take on a deeper purpose, and you will experience true fulfillment. You are not just a recipient of God's blessings, you are a steward of His abundance, chosen to carry out His mission on earth. This is your time to rise, chosen one. Step boldly into the abundance that God has prepared for you, knowing that it is not just for your benefit, but for the good of countless others. The legacy you leave will be a testament to His goodness, a reflection of His kingdom, and a light that shines for generations to come. Chosen one, your divine wealth is not just for you. It is a gift meant to be shared, to touch lives, and to expand God's kingdom here on earth. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to use your blessings to change someone else's life? The more you give, the more you will receive. This is the unshakable principle of abundance. What you sow, you reap. As you use your prosperity to uplift others and fulfill God's purpose, you will experience an even greater flow of blessings pouring into your life. What impact could you make if you fully embraced this truth and trusted in God's design for your abundance? Consider the widow in the 1 Kings 17:7-16. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil when the prophet Elijah asked her to make him bread. Though she faced extreme scarcity, she gave in faith and saw a miracle unfold. Her jar of flour and jug of oil never ran out. Can you imagine what miracles might unfold in your life when you step out in faith and give from what God has blessed you with? Your prosperity is a visible, tangible sign of God's faithfulness. Have you paused to think about what each blessing in your life truly represents? It's not just material wealth. It's a reflection of God's unchanging love and loyalty. Do you remember the moments when God provided for you in ways you never expected? Perhaps it was a breakthrough you desperately needed, or a quiet provision that met your needs exactly when you needed it. These weren't coincidences. They were reminders that God is with you, guiding you, and providing for you at every turn. When you recognize that your wealth is not of your own making but a gift from God, what does that realization do to your heart? Does it fill you with gratitude and awe? This shift in perspective changes everything. You move from striving to receiving, from effort to grace. You realize that every blessing you have is the result of God's faithfulness to His Word. And because He is faithful, you can trust that this divine richness will continue to flow into your life, now and forever. As you embrace this abundant life, there will be those who question or even mock your blessings. Have you experienced criticism or doubt from others about your success? The truth is, no one can touch what God has blessed. Numbers 23:20 says, "I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot change it." How would your life change if you fully believed that no criticism, no judgment, and no negativity could diminish the prosperity God has ordained for you? Your wealth and success are not about proving others wrong, but about fulfilling God's purpose for your life. Do you see how your blessings can become a testimony of His goodness? Remember Joseph's journey in Genesis 37-50. His brothers mocked and betrayed him, yet God elevated him to a position of great power and influence. Those who criticize or doubt often speak from their own insecurities or misunderstandings. Their opinions do not define your reality. God's word does. In Isaiah 41:10, God reminds us, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." How would it feel to stand firm in His promises, knowing that no negativity could shake the foundation of your blessings? As you walk in the fullness of God's provision, you will notice that the critics fade into the background. What remains is the undeniable proof of God's favor in your life. Can you picture how powerful your testimony will be when others see the evidence of God's abundance working through you? Your wealth is not just a personal blessing, but a divine tool to fulfill your greater purpose. What would happen if you used your blessings to touch lives, restore hope, and transform communities? Proverbs 11:25 says, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." Wealth, when used in alignment with God's will, becomes a powerful force for good. It has the ability to heal families, transform communities, and spread love in ways that nothing else can. Have you thought about the ripple effect your generosity could have? As you give, your wealth takes on a deeper purpose, becoming a source of healing, restoration, and love that impacts countless lives. This is your moment, chosen one. What steps can you take today to begin using your blessings for God's glory? Step boldly into the abundance He has prepared for you. Use it to make a difference, spread His love, and leave a legacy that reflects His glory. Your blessings are not just for today, they are eternal, flowing through generations to come. Will you embrace this divine responsibility and step into the fullness of your purpose? The impact you make will echo far beyond your lifetime, and the joy you experience will be unlike anything you've ever known. Chosen one, living in the fullness of God's provision means experiencing life as it was always meant to be, abundant, peaceful, and entirely free from lack. Have you ever imagined what it would feel like to wake up every day knowing that every area of your life is touched by God's generous hand? This isn't a shallow experience or a fleeting moment of happiness. It's a deep, all-encompassing state of thriving, where you are no longer just surviving, but truly flourishing. From your finances to your relationships, from your health to the fulfillment of your dreams, God's hand is upon it all. This journey into God's fullness doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of deepening trust and dependence on Him. Have you started noticing the evidence of God's care in your life? Maybe it's the miraculous breakthroughs you've witnessed, the doors that opened without effort, or the opportunities that felt almost too good to be true. But they are true because God is faithful, and He has carefully planned a life of abundance for you. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us of this promise. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." How would your perspective shift if you embraced this truth fully today? The fullness of God's provision isn't about having everything you want, but about trusting that He will give you everything you need, and more. Have you thought about how freeing it would be to let go of fear and live each day with a heart full of gratitude? When you step into this fullness, scarcity is no longer a part of your vocabulary. You begin to understand that the Creator of the universe is walking beside you, providing for you in ways that far exceed what you could ever imagine. Consider the Israelites wandering in the wilderness. They doubted God's provision, yet He sent manna from heaven each morning and ensured their needs were met daily. Exodus 16:4-35. Can you see how this story reflects your own journey? What would it look like to trust God fully, knowing that He is providing for you day by day, step by step? Stepping into wealth and abundance isn't about making a reckless leap into the unknown. It's about walking confidently in the assurance that God is with you every step of the way. Have you ever felt the assurance of knowing that God has already gone ahead of you, clearing the path? Divine assurance means you no longer have to wonder if you're on the right path or worry about how things will turn out. God's plans for your success are already in motion, and He is inviting you to walk forward with boldness and faith. This assurance gives you the courage to take bold actions, knowing they are aligned with God's will for your life. What new venture, opportunity, or dream have you been hesitating to pursue because of fear? Isaiah 41:13 tells us, "For I am the Lord your God who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, 'Do not fear, I will help you.'" With this promise in your heart, imagine stepping into that new business venture, making that investment, or saying yes to that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What could your life look like if fear no longer held you back? Think about the story of Peter walking on water in Matthew 14:28-31. He stepped out of the boat because Jesus called him, and for a moment he walked on water. Though he began to sink when doubt crept in, Jesus reached out and saved him, reminding him of the power of faith. What is the boat in your life right now? What would happen if you trusted Jesus and stepped out in faith, knowing He will uphold you, even if the waves seem daunting? This is not just about bold action, but about resting in the knowledge that God is working behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about the outcome, because God's plans for your life are good and perfect. Have you noticed how aligning yourself with His will makes things fall into place effortlessly? The opportunities, connections, and resources you need are already on their way to you. When you live in harmony with God's purpose, blessings overflow, and you no longer exhaust yourself trying to make things happen in your own strength. The life God has called you to is one of peace, abundance, and joy. Imagine waking up each day with the confidence that His plans for your success are already unfolding. You don't need to struggle to make ends meet or strive for validation from others. God has already validated you, chosen you, and prepared a path for you. Proverbs 3:5-6 encourages us, Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Chosen one, this is your time to step into the fullness of God's provision. What would it feel like to live in total freedom, unburdened by fear or doubt, knowing that your every need is met? This is the life God has designed for you. The breakthroughs, the abundance, and the opportunities are not far off. They are already here. Will you take the step forward in faith, trusting that God has already gone ahead of you to prepare the way? Your success is not just for your benefit, but for His glory. As you walk in this divine provision, you will inspire others to trust in His promises. You will show the world that living in the fullness of God's provision is not only possible, but transformative. So, chosen one, are you ready to step into the life of peace, abundance, and joy that God has prepared for you? The time to act is now. Trust Him and watch as your life overflows with His goodness. Chosen one, with divine assurance, wealth becomes a natural byproduct of walking in God's favor. Have you ever noticed how blessings seem to flow effortlessly when you align yourself with His purpose? This is not something you have to chase. It follows you as you remain faithful to Him. Imagine how freeing it feels to step forward in trust, knowing that every detail of your life is falling perfectly into place according to His divine design. Your wealth is more than just a personal blessing. Every dollar, every opportunity, and every resource that flows into your life is living proof of God's faithfulness and His unshakable promise to His chosen ones. Reflect on the words of Isaiah 55:11, where God declares, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." The abundance in your life is a testament to this truth. Have you considered how your life, filled with divine provision, becomes a beacon of hope to others? When people see the undeniable evidence of God's blessings in your life, they are inspired to trust Him, to believe that they too can experience His provision. Your success becomes a message to the world that God is real, faithful, and unwavering in His promises. This testimony is not just for today. The wealth and blessings you receive will ripple through future generations, shaping the lives of your family and community. Think of Abraham, who was promised by God in Genesis 12:2, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." That same generational blessing now rests upon you. How would it feel to know that the legacy you leave will echo through time as a testament to God's faithfulness? You are chosen for greatness, not because of what you have done, but because of who God is. Have you struggled with letting go of past hardships, mistakes, or setbacks? Remember, your past does not define you. God's purpose for your life does. In Philippians 3:13-14, Paul writes, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." How freeing would it be to release the weight of yesterday and step boldly into the greatness God has prepared for you? The journey to greatness is not without challenges, but you are not walking it alone. Every struggle you have faced has prepared you for this moment. What battles in your past can you now see as stepping stones toward victory? Your history may be filled with trials, but your future is filled with triumph. Romans 8:37 reminds us, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." Are you ready to embrace your divine calling, to step into the greatness God has set aside for you? Divine wealth is not a fleeting experience. It is a promise that stands forever. Picture an ocean, vast and endless, constantly replenishing itself. That is the nature of God's provision in your life. Immeasurable, infinite, and always overflowing. Have you allowed yourself to dream of a life where there are no limits, no ceilings to your success. This is the inheritance you receive as a child of God. In Ephesians 3:20, it is written, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." What dreams have you been holding back because they felt too big? As you lean into this promise, you will begin to see that God's blessings are not confined by the systems of the world. While the world operates in scarcity, God's kingdom operates in abundance. Imagine a life where every need is met, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, and physically. This wealth is not just for you. It is meant to overflow, touching your community, your family, and your world. Think about the story of Joseph in Genesis 41. God raised him from the depths of the prison to the heights of power in Egypt. His abundance wasn't for his benefit alone, but for the salvation of an entire nation during a time of famine. Can you see how your divine wealth is designed to impact those around you, bringing hope and restoration in ways only God could orchestrate? Living in divine wealth means embracing a life that far exceeds your expectations. What you once thought was beyond reach suddenly becomes your reality. In John 10:10, Jesus said, "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." Chosen one, this is your time. God's provision is not limited. His promises have no expiration, and his blessings are waiting to pour into your life in abundance. Will you trust him completely, lean into his promises, and step into the limitless life he has prepared for you? Your journey of divine wealth is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Let the overflow begin. Chosen one, God's provision is not just about meeting your needs, it's about giving you more than enough. Have you ever stopped to wonder what it would feel like to live a life of extraordinary purpose and fulfillment? We often confine ourselves within the walls of what we think we deserve or what we believe is possible. But God is calling you to let go of those limitations and step into a realm of blessings far beyond your wildest dreams. His plan for you is not just to survive, but to thrive, to overflow with abundance so that you can bless others and fulfill the destiny he has prepared for you. Think about the words of Ephesians 3:20. Now, to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. What if the life you've been praying for is only the starting point of what God has in store for you? Imagine what could happen if you trusted fully in his ability to provide. What would you do with the abundance he pours into your life? This abundance is not random or coincidental. It is the direct result of aligning yourself with God's will. When you trust him, when you surrender your doubts and fears, he begins to open doors that you didn't even know existed. Have you ever experienced an opportunity or breakthrough that felt too good to be true? That's the hand of God at work, revealing his faithfulness and glory through your life. Look at the story of Peter in Luke 5:1-7. After a fruitless night of fishing, Jesus instructed Peter to cast his net one more time. Despite his doubts, Peter obeyed, and his nets overflowed with fish beyond what they could hold. This miraculous provision wasn't just about meeting Peter's immediate need, it was a revelation of God's abundance and power. How often do we hesitate, thinking we've already tried everything, when all it takes is trusting God one more time? Could this be the moment he is calling you to cast your net again? God's provision always exceeds our expectations, but it requires surrender. Are there plans or dreams you've been holding on to too tightly? What might happen if you laid them at God's feet and trusted his timing and will? The Bible tells us in Proverbs 3:5-6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Imagine the freedom and joy that comes from letting go of striving and stepping fully into his grace. This life of abundance is filled with constant surprises and blessings that deepen your faith in God's goodness. Can you remember a time when God provided for you in a way that felt miraculous? Perhaps it was an unexpected financial blessing, a career opportunity that seemed out of reach, or even a moment of peace and clarity during a storm. These moments are not just coincidences. They are God's way of showing you that His plans for you are far greater than anything you could orchestrate on your own. When you live in the overflow of God's provision, His glory is revealed through your life. People will look at you and see the evidence of His goodness. They will be inspired to trust Him because of the blessings they see in you. Your abundance becomes a testimony, a light that points others to the limitless love and provision of God. How might your life change if you allowed yourself to live as that testimony? Chosen one, it's time to stop striving and start trusting. God doesn't want you to exhaust yourself trying to force blessings into your life. He wants you to rest in the assurance that His provision is already prepared for you. Matthew 6:33 reminds us, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." What areas of your life are you still trying to control? What would it feel like to release them to God, knowing that His plans for you are perfect? This is not just a life of material abundance, but a life where your faith, joy, and purpose grow deeper every day. God's provision touches every part of your life: your finances, your career, your relationships, and your spiritual journey. Imagine a life where everything is aligned, where every step you take feels guided by His hand, and where every blessing you receive serves a greater purpose. The beauty of God's provision is that it doesn't stop at meeting your needs. It overflows so that you can bless others, fulfill your purpose, and expand His kingdom. How will you use the abundance He has given you to make a difference in the world? What legacy will you leave for those who follow after you? Chosen one, this is your time to step into the extraordinary. God is waiting for you to release your fears and trust Him fully. Will you answer the call? The life He has planned for you is greater than anything you can imagine, filled with blessings, joy, and purpose that reflect His glory. Take that step forward, trust in His provision, and watch as His abundance transforms your life. This is your moment. Let the overflow begin. Chosen one, step into a new season where the blessings you've been waiting for begin to flow naturally and supernaturally. This is not a season of scarcity or struggle, but one of abundance and supernatural provision. Have you ever imagined a life where blessings seem to appear out of nowhere, where doors open effortlessly and opportunities flow in abundance? This is what happens when you align with God's plan for your life. His hand is moving on your behalf, orchestrating situations, opening doors, and pouring out blessings in ways only He can. As you step into this new season, how does it feel to trust that God is already working behind the scenes for your good? The supernatural flow of blessings is about more than just financial success. It encompasses every area of your life, your relationships, your health, your purpose. Do you see how God's favor touches every part of your journey? Whether it's strengthening bonds with loved ones, restoring your health, or guiding you in fulfilling your purpose, God will bless every aspect of your life. This flow begins with a simple shift in your mindset. When you recognize that abundance is your inheritance, it opens the door to a supernatural outpouring that will touch every part of your life. How might your life change if you embrace the reality that abundance is already yours? Think about how rivers flow. They carry everything in their path, bringing life to everything they touch. This is how God's blessings will flow in your life. As you open yourself up to receive, you'll realize that these blessings are not just for you. They are meant to overflow and touch the lives of others. What would it look like to let the blessings you receive spill over into the lives of those around you? As you step into this flow, Your life becomes a living testimony of His grace, a beacon of hope and goodness to others. Have you considered the impact you could make when you let God's blessings flow freely through you? Think about the story of Joseph. Despite the trials and hardships he faced, God used those very circumstances to open doors that led him to his destiny in Egypt. In Genesis 50:20, Joseph said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Just like Joseph, the doors of opportunity in your life might come after seasons of testing. Have you experienced moments where things seemed uncertain, only for God to reveal a greater opportunity? His hand is always guiding you, and when you remain faithful, He will open doors that lead to wealth, success, and purpose. Embrace the unseen, knowing that behind every challenge is a divine opportunity waiting for you to walk through it. As you remain steadfast in your faith, those doors will open wide, and you will step into a future of unlimited prosperity. Can you imagine how your life would change if you trusted that God's plan is bigger than anything you could have planned for yourself? God is always working behind the scenes to bring about your breakthrough. His plan for you is far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Will you trust Him to lead you into a future of divine wealth and endless opportunities? Beloved, chosen one, true wealth is not defined by how much you accumulate for the sake of luxury or status. Rather, it is measured by how you use your blessings to make a lasting, meaningful impact on the world around you. God's purpose for your wealth is far beyond personal gain. He has a plan for you to use your prosperity to bless others, fulfill your divine calling, and further His kingdom here on earth. As you step into this divine abundance, He will show you the many ways you can channel your blessings to lift others up, to support causes that align with His will, and to build a legacy of faith, kindness, and generosity. Every dollar you receive, every resource that flows into your hands is an opportunity to make a difference, a chance to sow seeds of hope and transformation in the lives of those around you. We often forget that wealth is not a destination, but a tool, one that, when used wisely, can become a catalyst for incredible change. The wealth you receive is not just for your own benefit. It is a gift from God to equip you to be a vessel of His goodness. It is through your generosity and willingness to share that God's love and blessings overflow into the lives of others. Have you ever thought about how much more fulfilling your journey could be if you embraced the idea of using your wealth to impact the world around you? God blesses you so you can bless others, and as you serve others and live generously, you unlock a level of fulfillment, joy, and peace that surpasses anything material wealth could ever offer. The more you give, the more you will receive, because God honors those who use their resources to fulfill His purposes. As you step into this new season of divine provision, let go of any misconceptions that blessings are something you must fight for. They are a natural result of God's favor on your life. When you walk in obedience, trust, and faith, the supernatural flow of God's blessings will carry you to heights you never thought possible. This is the season of divine provision and supernatural abundance, where blessings flow freely without limit. Will you step into it fully, trusting that God's plan for you is far greater than anything you could ever orchestrate on your own? Embrace the unseen, knowing that behind every challenge is a divine opportunity waiting for you to walk through it. Your struggles are not roadblocks. They are the very circumstances God uses to position you for greatness. As you remain steadfast in your faith, these doors will open wide, and you will step into a future of unlimited prosperity and success. God's plan for you is far greater than anything you could have planned on your own. Will you trust in His timing and His ways, knowing that He is working behind the scenes to bring about your breakthrough? As you step into the divine wealth God has prepared for you, remember that it is not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of others. Your prosperity is meant to overflow into the lives of those around you. God blesses you so that you can be a blessing to others. Every resource you receive is a tool to help fulfill His mission, to support those in need, and to share His love. Will you embrace this calling to use your wealth for His glory and the good of others? If you have been moved by this message and feel led to give, I invite you to partner with us in this divine mission. Your generosity not only supports this ministry, but also contributes to furthering God's kingdom and reaching others with His love and provision. Whether through a donation or your time, every act of giving plants seeds for eternal harvests. May God bless you abundantly as you give, and may He continue to pour out His blessings on you in ways that transform your life and the lives of those around you. May you step boldly into your divine wealth and purpose, knowing that God's favor is upon you, and His plans for your life are beyond what you could ever imagine. Thank you for your generosity, and may His grace and provision continue to overflow in your life.